Oh, did you forget to go live?
Oh, no, I didn't forget to go live, but I did forget to push that button. The buttons. Got to push them.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, indeed.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's spelled N-E-W, not G-N-U. And I'm going to turn off our email.
Yeah. We weren't going to really do this because we're both not 100%. But then we decided at the last minute to go ahead and do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got spiked.
I think we did. I think we got some serious spiked.
Some spike protein.
Serious spike.
So we wandered amongst the vaccinated a little too close, I believe, and
the recently boosted or the recently inoculated.
So watch out for those people.
I have a very sensitive. I have a very sensitive system. I don't know what to say about this. Like, I really don't think that a lot of people understand what it's like to be me.
Well, I think that, there's a lot of people that have been picking this stuff up and they think it's the CV word, right? But, we were listening to Dr. Palevsky talk, and he said that he picked up the spike from, like 3 different times during this last year in 2021.
Right. So this will be the second time in 1 year.
Mm-hmm. For you, because you first picked it up in March.
In March of 2021.
Right. And I didn't get it last time. I didn't pick it up from you.
Well, you're never around people the way I am.
No, but this time I think I picked it up from you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. For me,
and even if it's just that he caught a common cold, that's pretty normal for a husband and wife to share, a cold. Right. Like, come on.
Right.
That's like, you don't have to have COVID to.
Right.
But you don't have to be living in the land of COVID.
Right.
To
that's pretty common. This time though, I think it was definitely a spike.
There's something else.
Yeah, something else. Because at first it felt different. Now it's just sinus crap. So so today we're talking about a few things. We're not really going to recap 2021. We don't need to. A lot of other people have. We are looking forward to this next year.
I'm not being rude. I'm sharing the link to some other platforms.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Right
now we're on Rokfin. Hello, Rokfin.
Hi, Rokfin.
And hello to Facebook listeners and viewers and our friends on YouTube, as well as Twitter. So we've got several channels broadcasting right now. You can leave.
You can go now.
You can go now.
You can go now.
You can leave chats if you're on Facebook or on YouTube. The chats on Rokfin we don't see unless we are on Rokfin. So feel free to leave comments if you're on Rokfin. We will not see them while we're broadcasting, however. The other thing we're going to talk about is the Joe Rogan interview with Dr. Robert Malone. And then we're going to also talk about Don't Look Up, the new Netflix movie.
But before we do that,
before we get into that, are you done with that? Because I can cover for you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm done.
All right.
I'm good.
All right, cool.
I'm a good multitasker.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. We don't have a production assistant behind the scenes, so we have to do all the things ourselves. So what are you going to show us, Julie?
First of all, I want to thank everybody for their continued support on our Patreon page, and for those who continue to make Rokfin donations. Full disclosure, if you have made a donation through YouTube or Rokfin, we haven't really done anything with those donations yet, because Rokfin, the value system that they use, it plummeted recently. So we wanted to give it a chance to come back up. Mm-hmm. So if you're continuing to donate through those, just know that it's kept in a wallet in our name, and we have all the codes and all the information, right. and we haven't quite accessed the wallet yet, because it doesn't benefit us to do that right now, but it will very soon.
Right. And then
it's turning around.
Right. And then with YouTube, they're making sure we have so much money before we get that. Oh, yeah, cough button.
Right.
Oh, well, that happened pretty fast. We actually do have a, and you can tell that the cough button works when it goes silent.
So we really want to thank the people for making those donations. If you've made a donation on YouTube, there's a chance that that we'll get it eventually. We
Just
haven't
not right now.
We haven't done anything with those tips or donations that you've made through YouTube, but we do still have an active PayPal account. They haven't taken us down. That's good. We're always looking for more supporters on Patreon, which seems to be working well for us. And so we really want to extend a deep gratitude for those people who have continued to stay with us on Patreon. Even if it's just $2 a month, it really makes a difference.
Yeah, it does.
And of course, for those people who have donated privately, some people send a check in the mail. Some people, send a $5 bill in the mail. Every little bit really does help. It really has helped us through 2021. And we really appreciate the efforts. Chance, because we are who we are, those donations have actually been paid forward, and we've been able to donate to other people and other people who are in really dire situations or were. So we've been able to,
turn that around and help other people.
Help other people.
See, and so we talk about mutual aid a lot. This is maybe part of that. I think, helping people within our community.
Right. So this is what it's all about. So we just really wanted to begin the program by thanking everybody for doing that. And now what we want to do is show some Christmas cards that we got over the last month or so. So this is from our friend in San Francisco, Sandy and Mark. So I don't know if you could see this pretty card. Thank you, Sandy and Mark, for that. This card is from
my aunt.
Oh, it's from his aunt who lives in
Anaheim, California.
In Southern California. Very cute. Thank you.
That one.
Oh, this is from his brother and his brother's wife. This is really pretty. I don't know if you guys can even tell what these cards look like.
That's even worse. Just pull it away from the there you go.
So that's one of my favorites. That's really pretty. This one is from our friends who live in Olympia, Washington. It's
Vince and
Angel, his boyfriend Angel. Thank you for that.
I played in a band 40 years ago with Vince and my brother. So
this is one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah, that's very cute.
This really does define me very well. So thank you, Michelle. Thank you for that. Michelle is our friend who lives in New York. So thank you for that. And this one is from my friend Rick, who lives in Chicago. He always sends these really cool sort of quaint retro cards. This is from our local friend here in Pittsburgh. Thank you for that, Ziggy. And this one is from
my mom,
from JP's mom. So thank you for that. This one is from I hate the sound of my voice. This one is from Frida.
Frida,
thank you so much. We love this one, and we love the gift that came with it. Thank you so much, Frida. You absolutely are more than generous. So thank you for that. And
I love the return address on her envelope. It was the Chase Place.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, I hope she doesn't mind.
I just used her last name. Well, she's on Facebook, but
yeah, okay. That's true.
Sorry, Frida, if I doxed you. Okay.
Hit the hot button.
Yeah.
Is from our friend Lynn, who we will hopefully be having back on for an episode of Polk Boat.
She's coming up, actually. I can look that up.
Yeah. Yes. So thank you for that. Now, my absolute favorite. This one is my absolute favorite from our friend in Southern California. Her and her son, Jelani, live together, obviously, and Dawn is a good friend of ours. And did you want to?
No, go ahead.
Did you want to say when Lynn is?
Lynn Taylor is going to be on. We're probably going to have her on the 15th of February. So look for that.
Yeah, so please look for Lynn for that. Now back to the very last card. Last but not least, this is from our friend Dawn. This is my favorite card this year. My absolute favorite card from our friend Dawn, who lives in Southern California. Because she put It's first of all, it's just this adorable like wreath at the top, and it's got the whole. It looks like our house, basically.
Yeah,
it's exactly like our house, and even with the 3 stockings right here, and she put my name and JP's name and our cat's name.
Excuse me.
Yeah. In the on the stockings. So this is my absolute favorite card this year.
Yeah, it's really cool. So JP, Julie, and Roxy, all there, and that's yeah. So cool. Thank you so much. And a couple comments. Live Alive, thank you. We're glad that you're here. And Johnny Lawless, thank you. Nice to see you too.
Did Live Alive send us a card?
I don't know. I thought so, but
maybe she did, and we don't.
I don't see.
Sorry if you sent us one and we didn't.
Yeah. So if you sent us one and we didn't acknowledge,
hidden and we didn't.
Yeah.
In case you can tell, we're a little under the weather.
Yeah. So a little. Well, we were running late, because of this. So anyway, I'm sure everybody's cool with it. Okay. So I hope everybody had a great holiday. Didn't drink too much last night, or if you did, that you didn't feel too bad about it afterwards. I've had those mornings after that, it just never stopped. But that wasn't the case last night for us. But I hope everybody had a nice Christmas and New Year's and Kwanzaa and whatever else you might celebrate out there. Solstice, if you're Druids, or Wiccan.
Or nothing.
Yeah. So
did you say Hanukkah?
Well, Hanukkah was at the beginning of the month. So
really?
Yeah, I mean, it was early this year.
Don't want to talk about it.
Hey, Hanukkah. Nice to see you this year. Okay. So we've been watching.
Hi, Sean.
Hi, Sean.
We both are not feeling 100% right now. In fact, we weren't even going to do this.
Yeah.
But
all right,
we decided to go ahead and do it anyway. So thank you for that.
So Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of you people, how many of our viewers watch Joe Rogan out there, but we have issues with him. Whatever. We don't really pay attention to him much, but
he's a bit bro.
He's kind of bro. Yeah, he is kind of bro. And also just, we pick up on his stuff now and then and whatever. So the problem, well, not the problem, but the show. Okay, here, despite the fact that he's bro, we were listening to the show today, and I was like, or his recent interview with Malone, and I was like, he's really quiet.
Yeah, most of his interviews, which I have listened to in the past, he's pretty chill. Like, I think he's one of those people that when he gets around other bros, he takes on their personality.
Mm-hmm.
But when he gets around like decent people, he behaves himself.
Well, could be.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I feel that's
that's his thing. Yeah, he kind of reflects back. Maybe that's his acting training. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe
probably.
The funny thing is, listening to the program, if it was like Julie had it in the background and I was in the other room, it reminded me of a new age program that I catch now and then in San Francisco in the 80s and 90s. I can't even remember the name of it. But the host always had that kind of low quality, quiet quality in his voice, sort of like the way Malone had.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kept thinking that I was listening to that program, but so it felt like another show altogether. So aesthetically,
right.
that's how it kind of came off.
Yeah, I was fine with it. I was fine with most of what Malone said. Obviously, we have our opinions about what COVID really is and what the vaccines really are.
Okay, so the problem that I have with that I had with this interview overall, and by the way, hi Sal,
and
happy
Sean,
New Year.
Thank you for that too, Sean. I wore these earrings for you. I did.
The thing that I liked about the show is that Malone has the ability, because of who he is and where what he is, to talk about the ins and outs of the bureaucracy and the rulings and the not the laws, but the rules and the whatever they put together in the background. Like, say that he was talking about the CDC and all the things that were behind their decisions, what their decisions were actually based on. So I did appreciate that. I am not one to listen too much around like the ins and outs of the CV and the rabbit holes and then the minutia of all this crap, because it just doesn't make any difference to me. What I liked about it, what I disliked about the interview was that they were basically giving legitimacy to things like Omicron.
Oh, I know.
And Delta, and not Delta Airlines, Delta variant, and all these things, because they talk about it as if, well, like I said, like we've said before, and our position is that this whole thing has been a toxin. We still believe that. We got the toxin. We got spiked this week.
We didn't get the toxin.
We didn't get it directly. We got it from the people who directly received it.
Right. So that's what's called transmission. I did a blog piece, a really short blog piece for the end of the year, and I just went into very little detail about transmission. It's basically, I feel that I'm the kind of person that gets has an adverse event or I'm adversely affected by being around people who have been recently inoculated. So, why are you laughing?
Comments.
The comments, I know. Sean says he's going to climb into my earring and hang on.
Yeah.
I know they do look like little
trapeze.
Little tire swings.
Yeah.
Little gold tire swings.
By the way, I mean, guess we're kind of talking about the elephant in the room, right? So you decided to wear an elephant.
This is actually an elephant because I wanted to
talk about the elephant in the room.
Talk about the elephant, but you can't tell what it is on the screen because it's so tiny. But so that's what happens is, I get sick after being in very close proximity to somebody who is most likely recently decided to get a booster or some kind of shot.
And proud of it, yeah.
COVID-related shot. And I had an eye exam where the eye doctor was like this close to me for 3 hours. And we were in a
not 3 hours straight, but you were, you spent enough time with them.
Yeah, I was in an enclosed room with them, and there was some other things that I did too, where I was in close proximity to other people who had probably also just been inoculated. So I feel like whatever I picked, because it doesn't come the way a normal head cold would come with me. I get on usually like before the age of COVID, I would get a head cold, and within a day or two, it would be gone. Because I'm fairly healthy.
Well, do you think it's your autoimmune kicking in?
It could be the autoimmune kicking in. But so what's happening is that because of the spike protein and the toxins that those people are taking, I feel that it transitions into attacking a vulnerable part of my body, which in my case are my lungs.
Yeah.
So my lungs end up getting really torn up as a result of being around people who have been inoculated. And now it's happened twice. And I'm not talking about people who went and got the COVID shot 6 months ago, and then I'm around them and suddenly I get sick. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people that I assume had it done within the last 2 weeks, that it's still kind of fresh in their system.
Yeah.
It hasn't had a chance to really disperse. So that's what I'm talking about. Because I don't want people to think, oh, I guess I can't invite her over because I'm, I got the COVID shot, back in, February of 2021.
Or even in July last year.
Yeah, or whatever. No, it's not that. It's being around people who I assume to be recently inoculated.
I need to. You know what? Never mind.
Well, if you need to. Okay.
I'm good. So the other thing that I had a problem, or the other elephant in the room, I'll say, is that is that Malone comes out and says, "Do you need to cough?" No,
it's okay.
Just okay. The thing that the Malone says is, "Oh well, my friend at the CIA, blah 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 blah." We all have to realize who this man is.
Right. So he's a defense contractor.
Right, and he's
pretty open about it.
And he's basically a contractor also for pharmaceutical companies in research.
Right.
And so we all need to. You two are hilarious.
We're trying.
Yeah. And so people who lift him up really, I don't understand why he gets lifted up the way he does. I mean, he's avuncular or even grandfatherly, but
runs a horse farm.
Runs a horse farm. He lives in the same town as Dr. David Martin. So two
really
controversial,
ironic.
I know, two controversial figures in the same town.
That's really ironic.
Yeah, I think so too. But same town that Thomas Jefferson, lived in. So
hang on.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Mm.
So we liked the interview all in all. It was 3 hours. I listened to the whole thing.
Wow. I listened to parts of it.
Yeah.
I
don't know what to say, guys. This has been what I said it was from the very beginning. I said, hey, guess what? The national emergency was declared. So there's a couple of things that are going to happen now. First of all, you're going to see your friends and family members succumb to mass delusions. They're going to be in the throes of a psychotic episode. So you want to get out of their way because you don't want to try to engage with people or convince people of your position on things when they're in the middle of a psychotic episode. So that's the first thing I said. The second thing that I said, which is that your whole life is inverted now. All your democratic institutions, all of your safety nets that you thought you had through your government have all gone bye-bye because of the emergency use. So every time anything is under emergency use authorization, it just continues in perpetuity. One thing that Malone and Joe
Rogan, yeah.
Joe Rogan didn't say is that, emergency use authorizations are only supposed to last for 90 days. And they've just been, re-upping them every 90 days. So this is all done like sort of illegally.
Mm-hmm.
So like your whole life and everything that you've had, like everything about life right now is like unlawful because it's done under emergency use. And so that's something that we said almost 2 years ago as well.
Yeah. And they, as Julie said, I mean, they keep renewing it every 90 days. And something else that's being renewed is the emergency authorization for opioids use, right? So, you have to wonder, what is going on? Well, what's going on is they're using our health and our dependencies and our, whatever, to make money. Plain and simple. It all comes down to money.
It's really a simple thing. This doesn't have anything to do with a health crisis. This doesn't have anything to do with the pathogen. If you are getting sick, and it is weird, and it is a weird kind of sickness, it's not COVID, it's a toxin. And most likely it's a toxin as a result of being around people who have been recently inoculated.
Right.
And they're going to just keep calling it different variants. They're going to call it every variant under the sun. They're going to call it every virus under the sun. When really what it is that you're being poisoned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Agreed. That's all.
Yeah.
You're being poisoned.
The 5 docs talk about it a lot. I don't know if anybody follows them, but you can go to what is that? Not Rokfin. Rumble.com and you can find Tenpenny and Dr. P and Dr. T. And the 5 docs usually talk. We talked to them a little bit. We're trying to get Palevsky on.
Yeah, he'll probably come around.
He had some interest in it, and they did respond to us. We just don't have a date yet, so
we'll get Palevsky on. It'll come around. Yeah, hi, Miss Caracciolo. How are you? Happy New Year to you too.
Yeah, happy New Year.
We're a little under the weather, so
yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. So
despite that.
So all in all, I mean, I would say you don't have to listen to all 3 hours of the interview with Rogan and Malone. There are some salient points you can pick up. I have listened to Malone enough times to know what he's going to say for the most part, so I didn't have to hear the whole thing. I found it just very interesting the way that they interacted myself. As long as we're above ground. Yeah.
I know, right? Just barely, knock wood.
Well, we've had some people reach out to us with some advice as well. Some of the people we've been talking to, about this. So, thanks to Michelle for some of your input, and we picked up some of these things, so it does help. I think that a couple of the things really turned around for me, and that was useful. This time for me, one of the things that was really interesting was peppermint tea.
Yeah, I might try that next.
Yeah. Now, Julie had some luck with arnica tea the first time, and then later on the second time.
Mm-hmm.
And the arnica tea helps with inflammation. So if you're feeling
trauma to the body,
it's really a good tea. Now, you can't drink too much of it because it is somewhat toxic itself.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful, like how much you drink. But like 1 or 2 cups a day isn't too bad. But for me, the downside to peppermint tea is it makes you have to go pee. But I'm good for now. So that's the other side. Why would you say that? That's the other side of TMI. Well, just to let people know that if you want to drink peppermint tea, that you have to keep that in mind.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Johnny Lawless says arnica is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
of arnica.
The gel
in every form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get the little pills, we get the the rub.
Yep.
And the tea. And you can't find arnica tea just about anywhere. What we've been finding is do you need to Okay. So you can find arnica tea in Latin grocery stores. So like Mexican grocery stores, and and then online too. So you'll find it there. Julie's off camera right now. I'm hitting the cough button when I need to. And Frida likes arnica as well. She loves arnica, actually. So immune defense. Yes, we've been taking elderflower and lemon balm.
Yeah, so we do elderberry. Mm-hmm. Elderberry shots.
Yeah, we've been doing elderberry shots and gummies too, and those are vegan gummies, by the way. So
yeah, we've been doing everything, guys. No, seriously. I think when you're dealing with a toxin, using your old remedies from the past are not really going to work.
Yeah.
They'll work. It'll help. There's nothing wrong with that, but you're dealing with a toxin.
Yeah.
So you have to look at it a little differently.
Leopard's bane. I didn't know that. Okay. Thank you, Jenna.
Hi, Jenna.
Yeah, thank you. Northrup, Dr. Northrup, who we're also going to have on in the October.
Again.
We're going to release all the people, but I'm name dropping now. But Northrup swears by like massive amounts of vitamin C, even if it's a toxin.
Right.
She's like, vitamin C. What she says, what I found is vitamin C cures everything, right? And so she suggests getting it in bulk and powder form and mixing it in water. Cilantro is an interesting herb. We don't have any right now.
We have cilantro oil.
Yeah.
And oregano oil.
Yeah.
We have all the caustic oils.
Yeah. I was growing it in the garden this year, but I don't have any left. So
yeah,
we have it dried.
Yeah. So once again, we weren't going to go live because we're not 100%. But
that's the theme today.
But about an hour or so before we did go live, we were like, let's do it.
Let's put on a show.
Let's do it anyway. So we decided
to. I'll ask my dad if we can use the barn, and my mom will make costumes.
Frida, thank you so much. I hope you were with us when I thanked everybody for the cards that we got in the mail.
Yeah.
And you were mentioned.
So thank you.
So if you didn't hear it, you can go back and
listen. Okay. Yeah. So Rogan.
So the podcast was with Robert Malone was done at a very convenient time because he had just been taken down off Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
People say he was taken down off Twitter because he had recently gone live to warn people about putting the COVID shot into children. And he was sort of like, he was doing sort of like the old man in the chair thing.
Yeah.
Where he was sitting in a chair holding a piece of paper. So that worked for the old man in the chair, Vernon Coleman. So Robert Malone's image maker said, "Hey, I bet it would work for you too." And then right after he did that, Twitter took him down. He had 500,000 subscribers or 500,000 followers on Twitter.
The thing about that is, he also got taken off of LinkedIn, but then they put him back up, so it might go back up. But do you think that this, we've talked about this before, do you think this is a pivot of any kind?
Yeah, we're looking at a pivot.
Yeah. Tell me what you're thinking about that. Have you thought about that before? I mean, recently regarding Malone and this current situation?
Well, I think that they're going to, I think it's what everybody is saying and what everybody always has said from the very beginning, especially Cory Morningstar, that COVID is just the dress rehearsal,
right,
for the green movement.
And we're starting to see that stuff,
for green fascism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Dr. Vernon Coleman, the name dropping just continues. We did talk to him. He only wants to do audio, so we won't.
Maybe we'll be able to figure that out.
Yeah, sometime in the future, but not right now. Too many chainsaws in the air.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
So, plus our own work that we need to continue to.
Well, that's just it. I have 3 scripts going, and one of them is actually the green fascism that we need to discuss. Right. So
the pivot could be that we're headed over to green fascism.
But it might be something else too. How's the weather where you guys are?
Push pause.
Okay, push pause. We heard that Alaska had warmer weather than Pittsburgh just last week. We have been getting San Francisco Christmas and New Year's this week. It is 40 and wet. Yeah, about same here in Pittsburgh. This is the kind of, it's raining right now, and this is the kind of weather we had in San Francisco. And I grew up in Southern California. Same thing. It would be raining in the wintertime, and especially in the holidays. It would be a little warmer than San Francisco, but basically what we're experiencing right now is California weather. Now, Kevin told us earlier that it's snowing.
Babes.
Yeah, so he's getting some snow. We're going to get some snow later in the week, but it's more of the holiday fuckery, I think.
Oh yeah.
And throughout
although I don't see why the weather manipulators would need to fuck with people around the holidays, because it seems like people's families are doing it enough to each other.
And so Live Alive is saying it's in Northern California, it's colder than it is here. So it's really bizarre. And I'm not really sure what to make of it. We know we're getting we know that what's going on with the geoengineering is affecting how people experience weather, right? I always can count on the days, when I see those planes up there in the stratosphere injecting whatever they inject into the atmosphere or the stratosphere, that 2 days later we're going to have some sort of storm, whether it's rain, snow, or whatever. It's going to be precipitation. The sky rapist. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
That is a really good way of putting it.
Yeah. So, nobody who also supports the COVID narrative wants to admit that the geoengineering has anything to do with the weather. And something else that I've noticed that hasn't been talked about recently in the green side of things, that in the environmental world, people used to talk about how weather and climate weren't the same thing, and yet we're being manipulated in a way to think that it's the warmest winter we've ever had because of, you guessed it, you fill in the blank. I mean, they're letting us fill in the blank. They're not saying it, but they're going, must be global warming. No, it's weather, and it's being manipulated, and that's what's going on.
We haven't had natural weather in years.
And what I find, though, is what's really interesting is that the people who always support the mainstream narratives, especially those who are pushing buttons, pulling levers, doing things to affect us, they push the narrative they want, and the people who believe it always go with that narrative, and they ignore maybe what was said before now, even though it contradicts what they were saying before. So like, for instance, weather is different than climate. Same thing went with, like, NPR used to say you don't need to have 100% vaccination rate in order to be effective. These little subtle things that they used to say are conveniently ignored now.
Right.
So let's see. Ozark Renew said they sprayed I can talk mercilessly for 3 days. Yeah, we get that too.
Yeah.
And Kevin's like, the
weather manipulators use desiccants in California to perpetuate the drought.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, and we just did a thing. We just released a video or an audio of a live. Did we do it live? I forget if it was a recording or live, but from like 3 years ago in 2018, before
we moved to
Pittsburgh,
to Pennsylvania.
And hey, congratulations, California, and sorry, Live Alive. You now have 52 gallons a day to play with. So
right, it seems like a lot. Yeah. You're thinking like, well, that's enough for one person or maybe even two. It's not as much as you think.
Those shower heads that arrest the amount of water that you use, the drought, whatever, 2.5 gallons per minute. Okay, that's about the best you can get. There's some that are maybe a little bit less.
Take a quick shower.
You're gonna have to take a quick shower because 10-minute shower. That's you do the math.
Right. That's
5 minutes.
That's half your water ration.
Right. A 5-minute shower is like over 10 gallons. Right.
Right.
So you gotta think about that. 52, 55 gallons is not a lot of water.
And it's going to go down and keep going down. It's going to go down in perpetuity over the next few years.
So that was SB 606. You can find that on YouTube, Facebook, all the places we usually put our live casts out. We live cast it 2 days ago with just an image in the background. So it's not really a video, but it is an audio of us talking at the table like we often do on at least Facebook. We would like to start getting our audios out there in the same way we do our videos.
Right.
Live streaming to many channels at the same time. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. But back to the Malone and
Rogan
conversation.
Wow, I thought we left that one.
Well,
that's okay.
I don't think we're like done really. I wanted to just reiterate that they didn't bring up the fact that we're living in a state of perpetual emergency. And I don't think people really understand that in fascism, there are no laws, there are only rules.
Right.
And these rules can be imposed on you through threats of coercion and threats of either losing your job or losing your freedom. And you will comply with those rules because of the emergency that we're constantly being forced to live under.
That the rules are issued under, right?
Right.
The cool thing about rules, Julie, is that you don't have to be an elected official to make them.
Right.
And impose them.
Well, so this is why you have school districts imposing rules. This is why you have your managers of your local townships and boroughs and your neighborhoods and your bigger cities that are imposing rules. This is why you have your local shops and various places that you frequent imposing rules, because none of it's law, but they can get away with it because of the big emergency that never goes away, which is unlawful. So all of these rules, so I think that if we were to really focus on that and say, autonomously, I've decided autonomously that I'm going to make rules, and my rules don't have anything to do with your rules. And my rules are, here's a rock. It's going to go through your window if you continue to promote segregation.
Right.
Those are my rules. And since rules are the way that, hey, Dawn.
Hi, Dawn.
Since rules are the way that we are,
she was like, let me sneak on. Don't say anything.
Since rules are the way that we are run now because of the emergency, then I am going to declare a state of emergency for myself and throw a rock through your window. And I should be able to get away with that.
Yeah, you should.
Because rules are now the way that our lives are lived. I think that 2022 is going to have to be a bunch of people getting away from the whole politeness thing.
Yeah, I agree. We know Philadelphia is coming out to protest, at least. Some are, the Mummer Parade that takes place, I guess, today. So Mummer Parade, interestingly enough, mumming is basically cross-dressing. We talk about mumming in our Resetting Christmas to 2021 and 2020, but it was part and parcel of the holiday celebrations, during the winter festivities, right? And so it was so the Mummer Parade is in Philadelphia. Was one of the cities that was talked about in that book, the Battle for Christmas, right? So that we based our video on.
Based the video on,
right?
So I recommend you go and look at it.
Yeah.
Christmas, the modern telling of Christmas is really it's
less than 200 years old.
Is less than 200 years old.
Yeah.
If you want to go back to the 2nd century of the world and talk about paganism, that's a whole different. Saturnalia is different. We're talking about a modern telling of Christmas, which is that there was a role reversal between the peasants and the ruling class, where the peasants broke the windows of the ruling class and said, "We've worked for you this whole season or this whole year, so now this season you need to
feast us
and give us your coin, give us your daughters to kiss, let's put on your clothes,
whatever, give us food and drink."
And the ruling class said, "Oh my God, we're so sick of this tradition," which was hundreds of years old. We're so sick of it.
Let's now have Santa Claus and Christmas trees.
Consumerism, Santa Claus, Christmas trees,
and stay at home.
And you guys can stay at home and share, old socks and be happy. You don't need our food and coin, and
you can spend money on yourselves.
Right. So the ruling class, once again, are the reason that we have Christmas is the way we have it now.
Yeah. Okay. And and what we also pointed out is what we're going through now is another behavioral change modification coming down from the ruling class.
Right, so, where they want to separate. Now, before what they wanted to do was take the families and get them off the street. Because the families were like, okay, we worked for you all season and now we want you to pay us and we want you to give us your food and your clothes and your all the stuff. And the ruling class was like, okay, families, you can just go over there now and sit inside your,
your house and
your
by
homes,
the fire and be quiet,
and warm yourself by your coal and be poor and
talk about Santa Claus, right?
And be sick and all that. Well, now what they're doing is they're separating that and they're saying, not all of you can do that. Only those of you who are in the managerial class can do that. And the rest of you who haven't followed the corporate policy, the corporate program of the United States, you're not allowed to go into your family's homes anymore because you haven't taken a shot.
Right.
So they're reinventing social construct and behavioral change, and they did it through the holidays, just like they did it through the holidays in the first industrial revolution.
That's right. So now
this is like stuff that everybody should be getting like immediately.
And we've had very few views on
nobody gets it. Nobody gets it. Do you know how frustrating this is to be able to diagnose what's going on in the world and have people just
ignore it? Yeah.
Like,
well, it doesn't help that we get shadow banned and shadow flogged,
Shadow throttled.
Shadow
squelched.
Yeah, quite a bit. So well, Happy New Year, everyone. The other thing that we were going to talk about was that. Have you seen the new movie, Julie? Have you seen Don't Look Up?
Yeah. So I loved how Jennifer Lawrence portrayed that one researcher that everybody loves.
How many people out there have seen Don't Look Up? You can leave it in the comments.
If you've seen it, we'll try not to give it too much away.
We won't. Yeah, I don't think this is really a spoiler alert as much as just an opinion on the movie. and the opinions of the movie. So not yet. Well, we won't give you a spoiler alert because it's not that, it's not that complicated of a movie. You've seen this movie before in other places. So
you live the movie.
Right. We live the movie. That's true. We kind of do.
Yeah.
Well, tell us. Well, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's satire. It was fun.
Yeah.
I laughed. I probably shouldn't have because laughing made me cough.
We laughed. We cried. We hurled.
So.
Well, okay. Talk about Jennifer Lawrence.
Well.
What you thought of her and what her role was.
Well, Jennifer Lawrence's character is based on, in my opinion,
in your humble opinion, yes,
loosely based on a certain researcher out there. So whether you have a bag over your head or whether you're pregnant, you're still going to be telling the truth, but it's not going to make a difference.
Yeah. Well, I think you also you told me that she reminded you of a certain podcaster and news researcher whose initials are WW.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. That's why it was like whether you have a bag over your head or you're pregnant. Right. Because she is like, I don't know if people get it, but I don't think people get it.
Well, don't worry about that. Tell us
about. It doesn't matter what you do or what you say. It doesn't matter what truth you bring to light. It doesn't matter.
Well, I think, it was a perfect satire and embodiment of popular culture and the news media combined, right? Because news is really entertainment. Right. Mm-hmm. And it was more about entertainment than it was about and making you feel good, because, and this is everywhere in our society now. It's like in the corporate world, on news, on, in politics, we all have to have a safe space now, and we can't talk about icky things. And if you do, they're going to cover it up somehow and make it feel better. Right. And if you lose your shit on air, then they're going to just, make fun of you and you become a meme, right? Within seconds, you become a meme,
which
right?
Is what happened.
Right. And, go ahead.
Oh, no, nothing. I think there's so much more to it than
sure
the obvious, but.
Well, I mean, we can discuss aesthetics or whatever, but I mean, if you have not seen the movie, if you've not seen the movie A Face in the Crowd with Andy Griffith, it's from the 50s. Search that out. It fits in with this Don't Look Up. I also was reminded of Wag the Dog.
And Network.
And
all of the Sex, Lies, and Videotape. Like,
wow, I hadn't thought of that one.
All of the, what was the other one? It starts with a B, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. But all of those kind of movies, right? About politics and the media.
Right. Oh, I know the one you were, Melancholia as well.
Okay, well, Melancholia is on a completely different...
Yeah, it's a completely different movie. Yeah, I mean, it's an art film, really.
I actually like that one better.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course. But it handles the same subject in a much different way.
You love the Beale speech. Sean loves the Beale speech. The Beale speech? Explain what you mean.
Yeah, explain, please. And then, here's the thing too, is like all the reactions that you would see about the movie.
Oh, Howard Beale. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it. Right.
So that kind of fits into that too, as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
From Network, right?
So we have two. This movie is what it is because you have liberals saying it's about climate change, which it's not, and you've got more conservative and more woke on our side woke folks talking about it being the CV,
like what it is.
Yeah, and I don't think it's that either.
Oh, okay.
I mean, personally, I don't. I mean, I think that it's more of a.
It's just a metaphor for like what is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it
doesn't really represent anything.
Yeah, I agree. And
the asteroid coming to Earth, by the way, the asteroid that is coming towards the Earth right now is going to circumvent the Earth on January 18th, I believe.
Yeah. And it's as big as the Golden Gate Bridge.
Right.
But when we first reported it, it was as big as the Washington Monument.
Right, right.
And it was like our microphone. It was, so we thought that it might be penetrating the Earth's. Oh, did I say that? Anyway, so yeah, apparently we're going to be spared by this comet or asteroid or whatever. But as a not a metaphor, but a bigger allegory, it's pretty weak.
Right.
But what I think is interesting is the reactions to it. So people are either like thinking it's about this or about that, and then the other reactions are like, I can't believe that I wasted my time watching this thing.
Yeah, it's like you either love it or you hate it.
and
so the reactions to the movie itself have been more entertaining than the movie.
Right. And it's
pretty funny.
And that's just it. It's like it's not really that. It's not all that.
Sorry, guys.
Oh boy, it's the Coffee and Sneezy show. Anyway, so what we're dealing with is a mediocre movie. You should watch it to make your own decision.
Funny.
That people, and it is funny.
Funny.
See, what I find really entertaining about
it's okay to laugh.
Yeah, it's. Oh my God. Yeah. Wow, we've been spiked. And what I find interesting about it is the send up of the media, and it's the media people that are actually making fun of themselves.
Right.
Right. And you've got what's that pop singer who's in it?
Well, I don't know if it's her, but she represents.
No, that was her.
That was Ariel.
That was
Really?
Ariel Grande. Yeah, she played herself.
No way.
Yeah. I mean, she basically played herself. She played a representation of herself.
I'm gonna look that up.
Okay. Yeah. No, she was in it. And they were more concerned about her breakup.
Oh my God, that's right.
With her boyfriend on the movie, and then getting them back together. I'm sorry, that's a spoiler alert, but it's not that big of a deal of a spoiler alert because it's kind of like it's
really not.
It's more of an illustration of the media landscape than it is anything else, right?
Right.
And the fakery and the fake emotions and the safe spaces and the all the bullshit. The other thing that was interesting is the one character who was the broadcaster, the woman,
right.
She was probably more educated, more worldly, more of everything than anybody else she ever talked to, even the scientist that she brought on and turned into. And she spoke 4 languages and she had 3 master's degrees, or I don't know. Anyway, she was highly intelligent, but her life and her lifestyle was completely dysfunctional. And that's because in our lives, all of us have these potentials to be much more than we are, but
we're not allowed to.
Right. Capitalism and the way that the life is organized around money making does not allow us to do that. Right. And so she was completely dysfunctional. If she wasn't on drugs, she was she was drinking. And it wasn't like, like occasional drinking and having fun. I mean, it was a dependency for sure.
Yeah.
And the way that she spent her last moments on Earth was
drinking,
was getting drunk and talking shit about people. And she literally said that.
Yeah.
With her coworker.
Let's just get drunk and talk shit about people.
Right. Yeah.
Which is what she'd been doing with all of her, her multiple degrees and all of her education and all of her experiences in life. Like that's basically what it came down to.
Right. Exactly. And the thing is that she couldn't be everything she wanted to be if she wasn't a media person to get the money to do the kinds of things that she would have, excelled at. But at the same time, if she hadn't taken on that job, she probably would not have been able to meet her potential either, because, we're all held back either monetarily or what family or whatever the case may be, that doesn't allow us to be who we actually are. And so she's a good example, a good illustration of all of us really not being able, we're disallowed from creating the life that we really would like and meeting our true potential. And I think that there's a lot of people who are lifted up as they did this magical, wonderful thing on their own with pulling up their own bootstraps and creating this whatever. And that's just magazine talk. That's bullshit. Julie and I have seen this narrative over and over and over again, especially in San Francisco, where, like we talked about this before, an ice cream store, an ice cream place where this woman, started out with her little red wagon and taking her ice cream to the park where Julie lived near and selling her cones. And then next thing you know, she has several locations around the city and they have this patented method of making instant ice cream. And oh, come on.
Right. This multi-million-dollar project was funded by her father.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Or somebody in her family.
That's not bootstrapping it.
Yeah.
That's being daddy's little
girl. That basically was left out of the narrative, right?
Uh-huh.
So, and we see that over and over
and
again.
Her little wagon in the park was so tricked out. It must have been worth, at least $50,000. Like that's an
expensive wagon. Radio flyer, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there is no bootstrapping.
Yeah,
it's dad's money.
So anytime you see these people lifted up, and especially when they're written up in business magazines or in the newspaper or whatever, and it's like they talk about how they had this dream or this they were they were motivated to do this thing to make the world a better place and shit like that. It's like it's all bullshit, and it's all funded through other means that are not necessarily the ones that are seeing that true vision.
Right.
I'm sorry to be such a bummer on the first day of the new year.
Well, so the movie is satire. Don't take it too seriously. Don't take yourselves too seriously. I think we could see a lot of our so-called heroes represented in DiCaprio and Lawrence's characters. Mm-hmm. I thought that was hilarious.
I loved the representation of the president too, and I think that they were trying to make the what was her name? Streep. Yeah, Meryl Streep be the quote unquote Trump character, but honestly, I mean, she was
just embodied
it all, right? It doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum. They all worry about the same things, and she she was W, she was Obama, she was Trump, she was Biden. Mm-hmm. She was all those people. She was Clinton, all wrapped up in one. And then she had her feckless son there as her chief of staff. Right. And they were more interested in in messaging and positivity, the toxic positivity, than they were about anything else.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, not bummed at all. Good. I'm glad. I hope I'm not bumming. I hope I'm not harshing people's mellow today.
Well, I think that what we're going to have to see in 2022 is more of this autonomous self-rule, mm-hmm. and realize that, the amount of energy and time that was spent in front of your municipal board meetings and or municipal board members and in front of your school board people and in front of your council people was all a waste of time. They are all bought in. They get paid a lot of money under the umbrella of emergency powers in order to continue to, pass rules that will hurt you and your kids in the long run. So the only way to really break out of it is to just live by your own rules.
Well, and we're not trying to discourage people from organizing. You certainly do organize, but keep in mind that there is strength in numbers. And however, you're all going to have to work together as one direction, and that's hard to do, especially now. But don't confront your politicos. I mean, I think you're going to have to establish your movement as it is, sort of like the yellow vest movement.
And don't get emotional.
These things, however, are going to get compromised, and you have to accept that. You have to realize that these types of things will get compromised, if not through agent provocateur or infiltration from the powers that be, but also like Gilets jaunes, that was taken down by COVID.
Yeah.
You know?
It was. So it was really making a positive impact in France and throughout Europe. And it was starting to really make a difference globally when suddenly COVID.
Yeah.
So
I would point you to the latest Winter Oak post on the Acorn. So look up Winter Oak Acorn. You'll get the latest. And it's about people in France taking out 5G hardware. So
you're gonna have to stop being polite.
Yeah.
You're really gonna have to stop being polite. Like, I don't know how else to say it. This whole business of mass formation and mass psychosis and living in the throes of a psychotic episode, which is something that I said over 2 years ago, and thank God we had Matthias Desmond and a whole bunch of people, which are a lot more popular than me, come out and confirm what I had said from the very beginning, which is that a big swathe of the population is going to act like a zombie and live in a state of mass delusion and, be tossed into the sort of this hypnotic place. What you're going to have to do is not engage with them and not show any emotions towards them and try to undermine the policies that hurt you and your kids in the long run in order to live your best life.
Yeah.
You can't change the people that are in the throes of a psychotic episode. You can't. They've had their break with reality already, so it's over for them. So you've got to let them go.
Right. And Desmond,
Matthias Desmond.
Oh my God, I always mix that up.
You don't know names very well.
Well, I don't. That's true. I'm really bad with names.
You barely remember mine.
I know. What was your name again? Sorry. Sean
will remind you.
Yes. He always talks about the 40% that you need to actually reach, and that 40% are the ones that are not bought in whole cloth. They are the people who could be converted or convinced otherwise. So that's something to consider, and we talk about that a lot. Speaking of Winter Oak, let me just mention before we kind of wrap things up. We're kind of on the home stretch, I think now. We are going to feature Paul Kudenek and of Winter Oak, and Dave Amos of the South Essex Heckler on our first episode of Pull Quote, which is going to be released on January 18th. So we're going to be pre-recording that. And we'll be releasing that. And then the other really interesting person, who we're going to have is somebody that we never really met while living in San Francisco. But we're going to feature a man named Ragnar Bolin, who was the conductor for the San Francisco Symphony chorus.
Right.
And he quit the San Francisco Symphony because of their COVID policies and the shots. Because of
the mandates.
The mandates.
I would like to get some clarification. If he's against the shot itself, or if he's simply against
the coercion.
The coercion and mandating people to have access to a life.
Yeah.
It's just segregation.
Yeah.
So he quit in protest of segregation.
Right.
Because segregation is anti-life and it's bullshit.
Right.
And
it's anti-arts.
There's a lot of people even who are fully on board with getting the COVID shot that are against the segregation of society. This is how against I am. This is how much I am against segregation between the vaccinated or the those who've received the COVID shot and those who haven't. Being around people who have recently decided to get the COVID shot nearly kills me. Literally.
Yeah.
Twice now. But I'm okay with that because segregation is more important than my life. That's how much I feel about it.
Yeah.
A lot of people in my position that are equally sensitive to people getting the COVID shot say, that's fine. I don't want to be around a bunch of people that are spewing their spike proteins and their toxins onto me and killing me. I am like, no. I don't care if it kills me. I don't care if it hurts me. I don't care if it destroys my lung tissue. Segregation is wrong. And for people to quit their job in solidarity to keeping segregation from happening, like Mr. Bolin did, we have to give them a nod. Like, we have to look at those people and as an example and as an inspiration. There's so much more to say about that, but I don't, I'm not 100%. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, neither of us are really 100% on our game, but we're gonna have another bookmark in 2 weeks.
Right.
So that's coming up, and then look for our first pull quote on the 18th, and then subsequent shows after that. So what we're going to be doing is every other Saturday is going to be bookmark, and then the Tuesdays in between the bookmark shows are going to be pull quotes, and those pull quotes will be pre-recorded. So you can make comments, but we won't be there to necessarily answer them like we have in the past.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be around.
Yeah,
but
we'll be around. But
I want to wish everybody a really good new year. And I want to, thank people once again. Like, we started out at the beginning of this, thanking people for all of their support of our platform. And I really want to, just extend my deepest gratitude for those people that continue to support us, and help us along. And I also want to tell you that I think that 2022 was the year that
right.
that the story Soylent Green
took place. Yeah.
So I don't think that we're going to be like physically eating each other.
But we are
like actually eating our
flesh. But we are actually, our society is eating each other.
Our society is eating itself, like, metaphorically, like psychologically, like emotionally. So I think that we'll probably be seeing a rise in that, or an attempt to give that
credibility. I think that the whole zombie trend over the last 10 years has been part of that as well. That's the metaphor of The Walking Dead, basically. And just like vampires were before that, they're sort of the metaphor for the times that you're living in, right? It's just like the Star Trek shows in the 60s where the Klingons were the Russians, and so right, and so you always have these metaphors personified in pop culture and in entertainment. So I think that you're correct that Soylent Green, it's not the programming that people think it is. It's just that
I think I really hope that people will start to pick up the concept of metaphor.
Right.
Please, like, this literal translation of things is getting really annoying. You have to be smarter than that, right?
Yeah. It's not all predictive programming.
It's not all like, it's a metaphor,
right? And a lot of times, the writers of these shows, they may get informed for what might be coming up. We just finished watching the 2 seasons of Lock and Key, and there were a lot of metaphors.
Yeah, when we're not feeling well, we're watching a lot of stuff.
A lot of Netflix. Well, we watch a lot of these things on Netflix, and they all surround like magic. Have you noticed that?
Well, I think what the message is, again, the metaphor, is that that you have more power than you realize.
Right. Yeah.
You just do. You don't have to do any of this. You don't have to send your kids to school in a mask. You don't have to get a shot.
Well,
you don't need a round of experts and doctors and researchers and scientists and all of the people that you've come to worship over the last 2 years. You don't need any of that. I didn't. I've never had a test. I barely wear a mask except to get on a public bus in order to go places. And I've never taken a COVID
down after that.
And I've never taken a COVID shot. And I didn't need Robert Malone or, any of the doctors we've even had on our show to tell us that I did or I didn't, because I made the decision for myself. And so this business of needing heroes, I'm hoping people will break away from that in 2022.
And also just like looking at media a little differently and looking at archetypes, metaphors, to understand that, there are things that are being said, of course, but it's not necessarily predictive programming. It's that it's, things are being told to you. But I think that there's also something that we all have to pay attention to, and that is the zeitgeist, right? There are ideas that take place because, we communicate in more ways than just talking to each other.
Right.
And it's been proven over and over again through the history of the world where an idea will occur in Berlin, but at the same time will appear in, in Africa or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And, you had a renaissance going on in Timbuktu in Africa at the same time that there was something going on in Europe.
Right.
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 So, these things take place. The zeitgeist is, a real thing. And we need to start paying attention to these things less as that's predictive programming. I'm not going to pay attention to it, as opposed to reading it as, oh, this may be a metaphor for what's going on in our life.
Right.
It's a much bigger message.
Right. You can get a lot out of it if you look at it from that perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I really, really hope that this idea, this deep understanding of an autonomous nature, what it means to have an autonomous nature, I really hope that gels in the hearts and minds of people in 2022. It is really, truly okay to rip that mask off of your kid's face and send them to school. And if they are targeted, if they are threatened, if you are told that they can't come to school unless they wear a mask, then you've got to make some sacrifices and some decisions for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are already parents who are making huge sacrifices for their kids.
Right.
Like, it's really got to stop.
Well, and as we
bullying
said,
of your life, this bullying of your children. I mean, you're literally allowing your children to turn stupid. The rate of learning capacity has dropped and is in the negative now as a result of the mask.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to stop.
And as we've said before, you have this autonomy, but you also have group autonomy. And I think that if you can find ways to get together as collectively, parents getting together, hiring a teacher that got out of the system to homeschool a group of kids, you pay the teacher. You don't have to necessarily, stay home to make sure that your kid goes online, and your kid isn't learning online. They're learning better. They're learning with other kids, and they're not putting up the bullshit, right? And they're not getting more stupid because of a mask or a threat of a shot.
Right. It's really sad. I mean, I kind of feel like it's too late, to be honest.
I don't think it's too late. I think that there's still time, and I think that we are fighting a series of battles. And we won a few of them during 2021, and we're going to continue making progress, but it's going to be fits and starts. And it's going to be easy to say, oh, we're not winning, but we're not losing the war. We lose battles. Okay. So we're fighting a series of battles. And I think that that's how we have to look at this. And I hate using military metaphors, but that's where we are.
But we're at war.
Yeah, we are.
They decided to wage war on us with the national emergency.
Right.
When it was declared on March 13th of 2020. So this coming March 13th of 2022, in about 3 months, will be the official 2-year anniversary. Mm-hmm. And it's gone on far too long.
Yeah.
It really needs to stop. Like, it really, really needs to stop. all of the public transportation agencies are forcing people to enslave themselves in muzzles just to go to work, just to get from point A to point B if you don't own a car. Children are being forced into sort of this captured, enslaved idea of life now, where they don't even, where their concept of what it means to be alive is now reshaped.
Mm-hmm.
Being alive means that you have to put on your mask in order to go to the store or to get on the school bus.
But I'll tell you something, we were downtown during the holiday, like, Christmas Eve and, some other days, just out and about. And there's a skating rink that's downtown Pittsburgh. And I have to tell you that the number of kids I saw wearing masks of their own volition was lower than the kids that were just out and about.
Good. Good.
I see kids around and they are wearing the mask even though their parents aren't. I see kids that their parents are wearing the mask and they are too. So there's clearly some influence from the parents.
You know what I see a lot of?
But I see. Oh, yeah. I know what you're going to say. But what I've been seeing is more and more kids just out and about not wearing the mask. So I think that that's a good battle to chalk up. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I see a lot of future available men. So if there's any lonely women out there who are against the COVID fraud and against everything, chances are there will be some men available, because I see a lot of mothers and children all slaved up and wearing a mask, but the father is not. And the father's like, yeah, this is bullshit. And I don't go and work 8 hours a day so that she can afford to get manicures and put the kids through private school, only to have my kids look like a couple of little douchebags with masks over their face.
Right. A couple of little slaves, right?
A couple of little slaves with masks over their face. This isn't why I go and make all the money to put them in private schools. And you can see it on their faces. Mm-hmm. You could see that. You could see it on their faces where they're like, yeah, this is fucked up. And you can see the tension between the wife and the husband, mm-hmm. where the wife is like, no, I want them to be slaves and I want them to get a toxic agent in their body. And the husband is like,
it's for the good of everybody.
And the husband is like,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. And rather than staying in the relationship with the wife to duke it out, he's probably just like, how much do you want? How much do you want so I can get you out of my life and I can go start over with somebody younger who is not fucked up, who won't put my future wife, which whoever that would be, and any future kids I have with her. You guys need to start thinking in these terms. This is it's a weird kind of bizarre Handmaid's Tale thing that's coming up. Mm-hmm. We're gonna have a bunch of girls coming up, ready to be married and ready to procreate and be pregnant, and a bunch of wealthy available men who don't want to raise another generation of slaves. You know what I'm saying? They want all of their hard-earned money and all of their investments to go back into something good. I'm not kidding. I know it sounds awful, and it is kind of awful, but I think that we're going to be seeing a really weird reshaping of society in the next few years.
I think also that we're going to see, similar to what you're saying, but like older adults in second or third relationships, marriages or whatever,
right?
Based on the non-vax status.
Oh, I think that the whole world is going to be based on that. I think that all future relationships are now going to be based on that. Mm-hmm. And that there's, and I can't wait for the time when you've got like a girl who wants to be with somebody who is vaccinated, and you've got this weird like Romeo and Juliet thing going where you've got the two families at war because one is like, I'm not falling for the COVID narrative and the constancy of the variant bullshit,
right.
And you've got the other family that is,
right.
And the kids want to get together. That'll be interesting. That'll make for some nice Netflix drama,
right? Just drama, but yeah. No,
I really think that we're going to be seeing this weird reshaping of society, and I think that a lot of men who are single and older and making money right now are feeling a little bit freaked out because our families and friends have dismissed them, but they don't understand that there's a whole crop of people out there that would totally accept them. They'll take your money, they'll take your, well, sperm, and create a whole new like society of people that are not vaccinated. It sounds awful, and I'm not sure I even support it. I'm just saying that this is the way that life goes. This is how life is, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Like, this is the human element surviving, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't like talking in those terms because I'm not sure I really agree with it.
Yeah, exactly. We don't necessarily support that idea, but well, we do support the idea of carving out something new out of the shell of the old.
Right.
But at what expense, at what cost, and how is it you are actually
so
living your life,
I think a lot of people over the last 2 years have looked at the other end of it, like, oh my God, we're creating a society of slaves, and we're creating future robots, and we're creating toxic people, and oh my gosh, this is terrible. Well, there's a whole other conversation that none of us are having, which is that there is a whole crop of people that are going to be part of a very strong system of healthy human life.
We're seeing that already, but I think we need to drop the self-righteousness.
I don't think I'm being self-righteous.
No, not you.
I know,
but the people that we've heard like talking.
I think that I haven't seen a lot of this kind of self-righteous. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think it's more about like a desperate clinging to remain human.
Yeah.
Like desperately clinging to the last bit of humanity.
Okay. All right.
I could see where, especially with the religious people.
Well, and when you get into labeling, when you start labeling yourself a certain way, I am this, I am that, I am a natural human, or whatever the word is out there. I think we have to be careful with that.
Yeah, definitely.
In our labeling, in our because that's when we're already getting, we're going to have to deal with tribalism. Not that that's a bad thing, but it is a bad thing if it creates.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it's like, the Amish, that's one thing. If it's, wars between, tribes, then that's another, right?
Right.
So, we're going to have to find ways to engage with one another in ways that not toxic positivity, but actual positive growth in our society.
Right. And I feel like it's already happening in the gay culture, right? Yeah. It's like the gay culture, we could look at the way that they interact with each other and how they have relationships and how they meet each other, where they have to kind of like know each other's status.
Yeah.
Already.
Well, and that was happening, 40 years ago with the AIDS thing, right?
Right.
And this, and that whole language has transported itself into, that's why I think you brought that up, right?
Right, exactly. So you're literally going to have to sit down and have these conversations with your coming of age daughters and sons who are not part of the COVID culture and say, this is what the COVID shots do. They will change the DNA of any future children you have. So you won't be, they won't be
what you think they are.
They'll be like you amplified or you edited or something.
Yeah.
And you need to decide if you want to do that. And if you don't, then we'll, I guess, support that. But then you get into these weird, like, conversations about like what's accepted and what's not.
Right. No, yeah.
Is it wrong to say, I don't want to be around people who have recently taken the COVID shot?
I'm fine with that. And I know you're not as much, but I'm like, yeah, fuck those people. I don't want to have anything to do with them. Imagine
being like 18, 19, 20 years old and you have your first boyfriend and you guys fall in love and you guys want to get married, and he had one COVID shot back, when this whole thing first began, right? Let's look into the future is what I'm saying. The children that those two people have will not be 100% theirs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I know.
I mean, is that okay, or
I don't know.
how do you feel
I think,
about
well,
that?
see, that's just it. Again, we talk about autonomy and group autonomy and, autonomy within pairs, right? It's up to you how you see the world, how you feel about it. That's, you make the rules, right?
Right.
Or your group makes the rules.
I guess.
And so that's I guess where I'm at.
But I guess it's like, if you knew that by having the COVID shot, that if you had a kid, that kid would suffer, in some way. Like there is that potential that they could be autistic, or that they would suffer.
Right.
Would you do it?
Well, that's
anyway?
Just it. It's not. It's up to that individual. It's up to that person.
But is it wrong to say, well, I don't want to?
No, it's not wrong to say that. No, it's not wrong to say that. It's up to you.
Yeah.
And you have to work that out with your partner. And if your partner is not on board, then that's the split, right? So you have to find that way of coming up with whatever direction you go. If it's apart from each other, then that will be the way it is. It's up to the individual, the couple, and the community. And I don't mean community in terms of communitarianism. I mean communal autonomy, meaning the group decides for itself, right? Right. And not let outside influences come in and take over, right?
Yeah.
So, it starts with the individual. You have to have a healthy individual to have a healthy society.
Right. So these conversations haven't ever taken place over the last 2 years.
Right.
Nobody's talking about the future. Like, nobody's talking about what it means to be somebody who like went through the fire and was like, okay, I don't have a COVID shot in me. I've never had a test. I hardly ever wore a mask. I'm 23 years old. I'm ready to get married and have children. What are my options? Like, nobody's talking about what little options are left for these kids. Because the kids that are going through something right now, that are like, 15, let's look at where they're going to be in 5 or 6 years. I mean, this is
right. In 5 or 6 years, they're going to be out of college, right? Or close to it. And so that's what I'm
I don't even think that's.
But what I'm trying to say is that's sort of like that gauge in our society, right? That they're going to be that coming of age where they're like, okay, did college, ready to get the job and get married.
Or will that be changed?
I think.
Will you be like 15 and like, okay, you're ready to get married and have kids now?
Well, that's true. I see where you're going with this.
How much is culture going to change as a result of this?
I think that I have no idea how it's going to change. I was just reflecting on what has been.
So the problem is that nobody's having these discussions,
right? Yeah,
because then you get into that whole discussion of like, okay, 14 years old, 15 years old is far too young to be married and have children. But as we continue to go along down this road, because this is the road that we all have to live on, and this is what's really happening, do we want to wait?
Well, I think that's a good point. And I think that the age of consent has been coming down in some states. So this is
why the age of consent.
That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Can you guys even imagine that this whole thing has been so planned out, and they knew that there would either be what's it called when you can't have kids anymore because of the shots?
You're sterilized?
Sterile or whatever. They knew that would happen, so they brought down the age of consent. Right? Like, they made all of these changes in advance, like years ago,
right?
Knowing full well that we would be here, like, in the future.
Yeah.
Nobody's having these conversations.
Right. We need, so
nobody.
Maybe that's going to be one of our new essays.
I think so. I think we need to get a couple of Mormons on to talk about like that culture and find out, what they're doing, because not everybody in the Mormon culture is against the COVID fraud.
Right. Well, just like anywhere.
Just like with anywhere.
Any group. Yeah, any group. And, you know, so, you know, again, I think it always comes down to worldview, not like, you know, what group you're part of.
I want to thank you guys for tolerating my terrible voice. Ugh, it's awful.
Well, I think you need to give it a break now. But what I'm trying to say is we should wrap up.
Well, yeah. But I'm also like explaining that there are certain conversations that I've never heard anybody bring up. Like there's certain things going on in the world that people are distracted with something else.
Yeah, that's
and
for sure.
And they're not focusing on the future of
I think
humanity.
That's the other message that comes through strongly for me in Don't Look Up.
Right.
The things that we need to be talking about are pushed aside.
Thank you. There you go. That's all that I'm saying.
Yeah. So, no, and I wasn't trying to hush you up. I'm just like
thanks. Yeah, I know.
So you know, that's really a good point, and it brought it home, you know, again for me with that movie.
So maybe you guys can talk amongst yourselves about what it means to have to possibly talk to a 14 or 15-year-old about being a wife.
And not in a Handmaid's Tale way.
Not in a Handmaid's Tale way. You know, that's a really uncomfortable conversation, and I'm glad I don't have kids.
Yeah.
That I don't have to have those conversations. Yeah. So.
All right.
So we're gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
And
we'll leave it there.
Go back and listen to the beginning of this.
If you missed anything,
please tune in a couple of weeks for our very first episode of Polk Boat with the couple of anarchists. And
it's the Anarchist Show.
We will be in better form at that point.
Yeah, and you know, I think that show is going to be really interesting for a lot of our viewers. There's some viewers that have been hipped to Winter Oak because of some of our posts. And I think people are opening up to what we're talking about a little bit. And I like the Black Heart. Thank you. And thank you, Liv. Look for that show and Ragnar Bullen. And we're gonna release the names of the folks that are coming up soon. We're gonna have a good lineup this next spring. So look for that.
Okay. Bye, guys. Thanks.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Book of Hours are artists here to empower and embolden your response to the constant negative sound bites that attack your news and social media feeds. In order to continue making the video essays and art you've come to enjoy, we need your support. Make a one-time donation or become a patron. Thank you.